Let me introduce myself. My name is Avi, and I'm leading the mobile team. And today we're going to have a special session. We're going to talk about mobile, which is something that I think that most of you don't deal with in your day-to-day work. And I think it's going to be interesting. It's going to be different than what you know. We started the mobile team in October last year. I was the first one to create the team. Then we had more developers and product manager and designers. But the first question was, why mobile? Okay, so why would a fintech company that's based on the desktop web and SDK would like to create a mobile app or interesting in a mobile platform? And that's a good question that we've been asking from the start. Now, just a question for you, okay? Can you guess how many babies are born in every second in the world? Okay, so the answer is 4 to 5 babies are born in 1 second, in every second. 4 to 5 babies, okay? You can Google it, if you want. And why I'm saying that? Because there are 47 smartphones sold in every second, okay? Now, think of it, 4 to 5 babies, 47 smartphones. It means that every baby gets, I don't know, okay, about 5 smartphones, or 10 smartphones. 8 of them are Android, 2 of them are iPhones. And it's a it's a big deal because it means that when we move forward to our next generation and the youth, they all use smartphone for their daily work. I mean, they use it for their business. They use it for the payments. Okay, most of you, I guess, have Apple Pay or Google Pay. And it's a big deal. We cannot ignore this market, okay? And if we talk about Melio, so 59% of Melio users are registered using a mobile device. Now, if we reduce all the risk and MNQs and stuff like that, so it's below 50%, but it's still a lot of users that registered using a mobile device, but they don't get the optimal user experience. If you're not convinced from these numbers, okay, this is from Build.com website. They compare Build.com to Melio, and you can see what they highlight here. Okay, they have a mobile app and we don't. And actually, most of our major competitors have a mobile app, and this is something we cannot ignore, and we need to move forward with that. We created the mobile team, and we got developers, and some of our developers came from a mobile-first company. Now, in a mobile-first company, the mobile is really the king, it's the star of the show, but Melio is not a mobile-first company, it's a desktop-first company. And we received some questions and sentences, and we have a challenge to fit in the R&D team because of that. Okay, things are very changed in the mobile development. Okay, these are some of the questions and sentences that we heard. For example, isn't it like CSS or something? Or why can't you just use CSS API? Or why do you sit in the 32th floor? And that's because it's next to the toilet and the kitchen. It's not really related to mobile, but there is a gap between us as a development team and the rest of the R&D. Let's talk about architecture for a second, because this is the baseline to what I want to explain, okay? Now, in a classic simple architecture, you know that, right? 3 tiers architecture. We've got the presentation, we've got application, and we've got the data, okay? And if I want to translate to something that we know at Melio, okay? So it's front-end, back-end, and MySQL. Now, I know that the back-end is a little bit complicated in Melio, okay? We've got more than 1 tier, right, Moti? Yeah. Okay, more than 1 tier. But I don't care. I mean, I want to focus on the front end, okay? Because we talk about mobile. And we assume that mobile app is just another front end, right? It's just another front end. It's not really a whole system of its own. So if it's just another front end, why do we need it? What user expects from the mobile app? And the answer is, of course, user experience. Mobile app user experience is something really in a different domain, okay? It's a different universe, because when we develop for mobile apps, we don't deal with seconds. when we load a screen, or if we want to authenticate with the user. We deal with milliseconds, okay? We count the milliseconds when we optimize our screens and development. And user experience for us is performance, security, and slickness of the UI. Let's dive in for a second for something that we call rendering server. Okay? You know that your screen's displays are 60 Hertz. You know that, right? Okay, some of you may have, I don't know, iPhone 14 Pro or Galaxy S22, and then you have 120 Hertz. But what does it mean? It means that the display renders itself 60 times per second. Okay? It means roughly around 16 milliseconds for one frame. Okay? It means that if we want, okay, to deliver the best user experience, we need to render a whole screen, including its data, in less than 60 milliseconds. If it takes more than 60 milliseconds, then we are starting to drop frames. You know that when you scroll or doing animation on your mobile device and then you have lags, right? Sometimes it's lagging. Okay, maybe it's old devices, maybe the battery is drained, maybe you have too much information, data. So this is lagging. Okay, lagging is when it takes more than 60 milliseconds to render something on the screen. Okay, and users expect to load immediately without any lags. When you open your WhatsApp or your Facebook or your Twitter or your mail, you want it to appear immediately, instantly. So what we want to do is really load a whole screen in less than 60 milliseconds. Now, our home screen today on our development version, it's the vendor screen, and it's loaded in 14 milliseconds. Okay, 14. Now let me show you how it looks. That's it. Okay, this is how much time it took to load the full screen, the home screen. Okay, again. Okay? Now, this is not unique to Melio. I mean, it's not every app supposed to come to this user experience. But how do we do that? So first of all, the UI, this is a mobile architecture. The UI is already connected to the GPU, so everything runs smoothly, okay, and very, very fast. But the key actually is in the data storage. We, both Android and iOS devices, they both keep an SQL right on the device, okay? We've got all the entities on the device. We've got payments, we've got vendors, bills, users, organization, right on the device. So everything works from the UI to the data storage on the device. Actually, if you look further, so the UI screens never work with the network. They will never work with the backend. They always work with the local storage, and the local storage is synced with the backend, okay? But internally, locally, everything is very, very fast. That's how we get to the 14 milliseconds for the home screen, and actually almost every screen, okay? So our challenge is actually to maintain this data storage. So we've got the vendors, the bills, the payments, everything, all the entities are on the device in the SQLite. And on top, we've got frameworks to use on the apps according to the platform. We've got Room for Android and Core Data for iOS. By the way, my latest book is about core data, so you can pre-order it today. It's an advertiser. Because we have UI and we have the data, the entities, we need to have some logic on the device, inside the app. So let's go over again to the mobile architecture. We have UI, service, and the data storage. So UI is simple. Data storage, you understand what is a service? A service is a logic, okay? And yes, we keep some logic, okay? Not all logic, but some of the logic we keep on the device. And you may think that it's a problem, okay? Because we have the backend, and then we have all the devices outside. If we need to write the logic on the device, then we do a duplicate work, right? I mean, we've got it on the backend, and then we do it on the device. And not only that, we need to do it twice, because we have iOS, which is one code base, and we have Android, which is another code base. So we duplicate some of the logic twice. And it's a trade-off, okay? It's a trade-off we take, and almost mobile development teams take this trade-off because we know that we have separation of concerns. We want the backend to be responsible for all the logic. We want it. Okay, this is our interest. But on the other hand, we want to provide the best user experience. So this is something we deal with in the day-to-day basis. We've got debates, we've got talk about it, and we do some tricks. For example, we calculate some of the stuff on the backend and then move it as part of the entities as a computed property. Okay. For example, sorting is done partially on the device, and the rest of the loading is from the backend. Except for the user experience, keeping the entities on the device helps us with another challenge that the mobile web don't have it. Okay, for example, you know when you have, I don't know, a version on the web and you have a version on the device, right? Now, when you want to deploy a new version to the web, all you need to do is deploy it, okay? Just update everything, and everything goes well. But when you work on a mobile, when you deploy the new version, we've got many versions outside in the field. We've got many devices that weren't updated, okay? So if those devices work with the same entity, okay, as before, everything goes well with them. Now, how do we sync the local storage with the backend? So we have several patterns that we use today. Okay? The first one is Delta Sync. On a home screen, the vendors list, for example, we've got, I don't know, 200 records, 300 records. Okay? Really, this is the maximum number of records. We don't want to use pagination, okay, because we want to use it to just scroll all the list, okay? We want it to be zero-time loading, and we want the user to get fast updates, okay? When he enters the app and he's got a new update for one of these vendors or payments, we want to appear immediately. So what we do with Delta Sync, we load all the data at first launch, first setup, okay? I mean, first install of the app. And starting from that point, we only receive updates, okay? We don't load all the data constantly. How does it work? Well, this is the backend, and this is the user device. You see that we have 3 records on the backend. So on first setup, we load all the records from the backend, okay? And we receive a timestamp. Okay, this timestamp saying this is the updated time of this state, okay, of these records. Now, the device keeps the timestamp and send it on the next time the user entered the app. Okay? So, in the meantime, 2 records were added to the server, okay? And the user and the device sends the timestamp, and you receive only these 2 records, okay? And then you receive a new timestamp. So every device, every app, and actually every device, keeps the timestamps locally on the device and just send it to the server and receive the updates, okay? But this trick, is relevant to screens that they only have really a few hundreds records on the storage. Now, for the next screens, we have the payment screen, okay? Under a vendor, we've got payments. Now, payments, it's not 200. It could be a few thousands. In this case, what we're going to do is use something that Twitter and Facebook does, okay? And what they do is using cursor-based pagination, okay? They load, I don't know, I got around 50 records, 100 records, 20 records, it doesn't matter. When you scroll and you get to the bottom, okay, first you get a cursor for the server saying this is where I stopped, okay? And when you scroll to the bottom, you send the cursor, and then you get additional 20 records. It's different than paging that we use today on the mobile web, or on the mobile web, okay? Because you don't need, first of all, to select a page to do a next. Okay, you just scroll and receive more, and it's dynamic. It means that no matter what happens, the cursor base is according to a record, and it's not calculated the number of pages that we have, okay? So this is what we do on the payments. Now, on the next screen, for example, this is the payment details screen. In the payment details screen, we don't even have an API call because we have it on the local store. We already have this entity on the previous screen, and this is what I said, that we can generate a screen without modify our web, okay? Because we already have these entities. So it doesn't matter what happens on the web, on the backend, we already have details and we can just show it, okay? What we actually do is treating the local storage and as the single source of truth, okay? Because it's not aimed to a specific screen or a format. We've got one payment entity that we can share it across screens. So if we want to navigate inside the app, okay, it's really, really fast. Okay, really, really fast. I mean, it's 0 time loading for each screen, and it's really a unique experience that we can provide in the mobile app. So the reason why I chose to show security is because part of the user experience on mobile is security. Okay, if we need to, every time we open the app to sign in, fully sign in, it's not a very good user experience. Now, again, imagine how you use your mobile apps. You barely sign into apps. You do it once, and that's it. What user expects is to open the app and just use it. And first of all, for your question about sensitive data, everything that is saved on the storage, okay, is not accessible if you don't unlock the device. Okay, so we need to unlock the device. If you connect the device to the computer, okay, you need to unlock it in order to access the data. Now, there are stuff such as tokens and stuff like that that are encrypted, okay? And even if you unlock the device, you cannot reach them. Now, what we do to provide a better user experience is using biometric authentication that you all have in your devices. For example, Face ID, okay, or Touch ID, fingerprint, or iris scanning, everything. And we combine it with refresh token that I guess that most of you know what it means, right? A refresh token is something that you have it to generate every time a new access token to the API. A few words about biometric authentication. Now, we don't care if the device has face recognition, like iPhones, or fingerprint, like most Androids and old iPhones, or iris scanning, like some of the Galaxy smartphones. Okay? What biometric authentication gives us is an improvement that the user that's actually using the app right now is the owner of the device. Okay? It's not related to any tokens or working with the backend and stuff like that. No, it's only saying that, okay, this is another layer of security, okay? And we know that the user that using the app is the actual owner, okay? And if we know that, we can allow him to enter the app and just navigate with screens, okay? Remember, we have a local storage. You can use the app even without reaching to the backend, okay? But once he did that, okay, we can send a refresh token and sign in him to the app to get a new API token and fetch updated using the API. Okay? So how it happens, we open the app, we authenticate, we let the user in, okay, and then our first request to the backend, we refresh the token. The Face ID on iPhones, for example, is very, very fast. I mean, if you imagine how users today sign into a mobile web, okay, or to a web, it takes, I don't know, 5 seconds, 6 seconds, okay? That's it, okay? This is how we authenticate the users and let him enter the app. It's around, I don't know, half a second. As you probably know, mobile apps are not only the app, right? We have notifications that we can reply. We've got widgets, okay, we've got extensions, and this kind of a problem for us, right? Because you need to pass the Face ID and refresh token and stuff like that in order only to reply notification or using a widget. So what we're planning to do is use these scopes, okay? not only one token, but several tokens. And every token has its own scope. For example, we can have a scope only to reply notification. Okay, this is what the token can do. And we can have a token only to display a widget, for example, if we want to approve a payments widget. Okay, so the token can only show approval payments. And a share extension, for example, if you got an email with a bill and you want to add a bill from this attachment that you received on the email, okay, that we use a share extension, and then we only need to have a token that allows this one, okay? So we thought about how to interact with the backend outside the app, even though the user didn't pass the Face ID and it doesn't have a full access token. We created the infrastructure for the apps when we thought years to come. I mean, for example, we already support dark mode and skin. Okay, we can. This is an actual app. It's not a design. Okay, we just change the color and change the device to a dark mode. Okay, we already have support for localization. This is the Chinese version of the app. Okay, and we support accessibility. Accessibility means that if the device, okay, settings is a larger font, okay, for old people and stuff, okay? So we already support it in every screens. We already support bigger fonts by device settings. And we also work on a platform. Sorry, Moti. Okay, we already work in a platform. I mean, all our code base is actually libraries. Okay, we have a library for data, for network, common, okay? We've got logic libraries, okay? And we've got UI libraries. So actually, we don't build an app, okay? What we do is build a platform, okay? So this is our platform, and from this platform, we can create any product that we want. For example, we can create an app, okay? Or several apps. Every app can do something else, okay? We can create an SDK. Okay, just take, for example, the Pay UI, Pay, Data Network, and Common, that's it. We've got an SDK, okay? And potentially, I know it's not our scope, but we can create an app for the watch, for your car, or for your TV, okay? It doesn't matter, because this is what we work on a daily basis, and this one only takes libraries from the SDK. Let's summarize what we talked till now. Okay, so we talked about performance and the mobile backend patterns. We talked about security with biometric recognition and refresh token. We talked about flexibility and code reuse. Great. So thanks, everyone. And I hope that you're going to install the first version that we're going to release in the next few months. Thank you.